Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Marvel Rivals patch notes review. It's going to be for Season 5. We're going to get right into it. I'm going to try my best to make sure I read everything so anybody who's not physically watching can hear what has been changed. Most of y'all should already know, but I also understand that some people are busy and they haven't even got to play the game yet. So hopefully this video will help you all out as well as kind of break down what's going on with the game, right? So number one, Angela. So basically what they're doing with Angela is that they are increasing her movement speed of her charge from 16 meters per second to 18 meters per second. Basically, dash is going to go a little faster. It's going to help her with escaping, engaging, as well as probably technically carrying people a little bit farther, right? Because it's a meter, not a set distance. That's a good change for her in terms of just quality of life. And then the second change is going to be increase Heaven's Retribution, her ultimate, spear health from 600 to 800. This is just going to make it a lot harder for enemies to just burn down her spear. The basically the thing that holds them in that area. Because if you're hitting multiple people and they all look at it, it's breaking, right? So it's just trying to give her a little bit more of an opportunity to not have to instantly dive down to get value out of it. It'll allow her a little bit more flexibility as well as just give people more time to combo ults with her as well. Next is going to be Captain America. So what they're doing is now his ultimate ability, with all the benefits it already has for him and his teammates, they're adding another buff to it, where basically allies that are within the path now gain 30% boost to their ultimate ability charge. So basically, as you're following them in, your charge will boost that much faster. Captain America's from this day moving forward, definitely look to use your ult more as an engage than a defensive ult, but that's really going to be based off of the enemy's comp. If they're running a lot of ults that need a response, or your support blunders and they double or whatever, and you need to save it for that, cool. But at the end of the day, make sure you're ulting and you're trying to get your teammates involved in that ult, even a little bit. Don't be selfish because that boost that you're getting for the ultimate is just getting thrown away. The next change, which I don't agree with at all, even though I'm a tank player, is going to be to Groot. So Groot's Iron Wall, this is going to be the big wall. It's gaining another effect. So not only did it give you shields, right, and it was a big tanky wall, gave you some cover. Right now, if you're within the radius and it's active, the wall is going to give Groot the status effect of unstoppable. What does that mean? That means you are unmovable, you are unstunnable, you cannot be affected by any status effects, right? Which is ridiculous. I understand why they changed this. They probably changed this because of things like Wolverine and Angela, right? And playing Groot is frustrating. Now, for the casual player, I can understand that you want to play Groot, and when those characters are in the game, you just can't play them. But that's the nature of games like this. There are going to be counters to your pick. So you can't balance the game around removing counters, right? That's just not how that works because something will always counter something, right? And with that being said, I don't think he needed that change. And if they were gonna stick it out and give it to him, which they have, I would say that you need to give Ironwood Wall at least a limited duration. It can't stay out indefinitely. People will sit here and say, just break it, just break it. Yeah, this and that. But on specific maps, and if the group is mindful, he will put his walls in positions that will basically be unbreakable. And yes, the wall has 600 health, and that's going to be more than the 250 that you gain. But the fact that you can consistently gain shields from you doing damage and your teammates doing damage is going to have you super tanky and unable to be affected, right? And that's a problem. But basically, that's the Groot thing, right? So he's been buffed. He's giga buffed. Groot is officially a kaiju. Moving on to Hulk. This is a good change in my opinion. Basically, what they're doing is they've added a cooldown reduction onto his clap, right? So now, when you use your bubbles, clap, and when you hit an enemy, that will give your bubble a 1 second cooldown reduction in terms of when it's on cooldown. I bubble, it gets broken, it's on cooldown. Now I clap, and let's just say I hit the whole enemy team. That's 6 seconds right there, right? So you just remove 6 seconds from your cooldown. So that's a good change. I don't know if it would be like there will be certain situations where it'll be insane, because not only is it going to just let you gain ult faster, but it's just going to really protect your team. I think it'll give him a little bit more strength. But good change for Hulk. Magneto, right? So now Magneto, instead of having one bubble, he's now going to have two. This is going to make Magneto feel better but it's also going to make him more impressive. Personally, I mean, I've always wanted two bubbles just for the fact of keeping myself alive without having to feel like I have to play so safe because I have to save bubble. I want to save bubble for my team, right? Because like I would just play in a way where I'm safe, 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 so I can only bubble my teammates. But now I can be a little bit more aggressive, proactive, because even if I bubble my teammates, I still have a bubble for myself. So overall, great change for Mag. He was a great tank. He's still going to be great. This is going to definitely push him forward. And then the other thing they did was they reduced the health value from those shields. So basically, they just minused it by 50. Which I mean, hey, you're getting two now. So if you complained about 50 health, boo hoo, you have two shields. Overall, good change for Magneto. Now, Penny Parker, they added some things to her webs, right? So not only her nests, but her just cyber webs in general. So allies that are in Penny's webs, they are not only going to be healed over time, but they're also going to get the movement boost effect, just like her, right? So the movement speed for them is going to be 25%. So you move 25% faster, which is crazy. But you're also going to get healed 15 per second. And that's not a crazy number, but also understand that overhealing will apply as well. So you can make your supports extremely tanky, right? So let's say just before fights start, you throw a web down, your supports stand on it, your supports are now freaking mini tanks, and if they get dove, they have that much more of a chance to survive because of that extra health, as well as just holding defensively. You're just going to sustain so well. So this is really solidifying Penny as a defensive bunker character. Could she still do plays here and there, but Penny's going to get so much value from having things around for her teammates to move around, get sustained. Uh, this is definitely a insane buff for Penny. I don't know how I feel about it, especially with the healing um, over time. I think Penny was a good check character for certain things, but now she's definitely going to move up a lot more in the tier list and just the strength in the game. All right, so now we're moving on to the Thing, right? So Thing, they're changing his battle leap, the one that you use to jump to your teammates, from uh, just you and your teammate getting DR to now anybody that's close enough and within 5 meters is going to get, instead of 25% DR, 20% DR. So this is going to be a brawl nightmare. You're going to have people running at you at 20% DR, but as well as like dive characters beware. Like if there's a thing on enemy team, you cannot go on their backline. You go in, he jumps to them. 20% DR. So even if he doesn't slam, they're probably not gonna die. Or even if you before you come in, if you look like you're gonna come in, you can't come in until that's done. And then he just sits on them and you just can't play because he'll slam. Right? So I think this is their way of making a thing a better peeler because now instead of like having to pick and choose who you jump to, jumping to your supports in general, it's gonna basically keep them both alive as long as they're close enough, right? So that's chilling. Now his battle blitz, right? This is the one Ray jumps in. Now instead of him getting damage reduction, now he's going to get the ability to apply vulnerability to an enemy, all enemies. Oh wow, within his landing point. So he jumps on an enemy, that enemy and anybody close enough within that 5 meters is going to get 20% damage amplification applies to them basically. So let's say Groot ults and you jump on it, everybody in that Groot ult is basically getting hit with that. So it is definitely going to create some opportunities for um, some like more dive opportunities for the Thing. So I can definitely see him getting played with some dive. But it's also going to just like uh it's going to make him weaker in situations where he's not getting a lot of follow up. Like for example, if you wanted to just contest a point and you wanted to just jump at the enemy just to give yourself some DR, it's not you can't do it anymore, right? So you don't have a shield, you don't have a way to really mitigate damage outside of DR. You're not going to really be able to really front line as Sting anymore. You're going to have to kind of like play. You're going to need a lot of resources. We'll put it that way. They are also reducing the base damage from 90 to 55 from Stone Haymaker. So that's going to be his right click, his alternate fire. They're also going to remove the 50 bonus health that he gains during the activation of that punch. Now, the new effect is going to be he's going to deal bonus damage equal to 8% of the enemy's max health, which means that he's going to hit tanks a lot harder, right? So he's going to hit tanks a lot harder, not going to be able to bully DPS as much. And he's also going to gain bonus health equal to the damage dealt up to 100. So based on the damage he does, he'll get some his health based off of that. So now his survivability will kind of be, I'd say when you're fighting tanks, you'll be able to sustain a lot more. Um, you're basically never going to want to left click because you don't have that that way to um, give yourself damage reduction. So your sustain, your survivability is going to be coming off of that haymaker against tanks. So I'm interested to see how this works out. Now we are done with the vanguards. We're moving on to the duelist. First off is going to be Hawkeye, right? So with Hawkeye, they basically just increased his maximum focus bonus damage from 75 to 90. I don't know why we keep buffing his character, man. I think Hawkeye's in a place where, like, if you were insane, if you got a insane aim, Hawkeye is ridiculous. You have the capability to just one tap people. And if you know me, I'm not a fan of one taps. I think minimum you should always have to hit 2 shots. But he's one of those characters where it's like, yeah, you gotta kind of like, it's you can't just spam with Hawkeye for the most part. You gotta kind of like charge up your shots. And I think that's where they kind of did a good job. So you can't just spam angles and get lucky shots. You gotta kind of have to really hard aim at people. But I don't really know how I feel about that. But hey, more damage, so you understand. Um, On to Mr. Fantastic. Reflexive rubber can now be used during inflated state. Basically, what that means is when you puff up from getting that 100 charge, you can now basically depuff and use your big chest ability, right? Instead of having to exit big state and then pop it, you can just use it right out. So it's more, it's a quality of life change in a sense. And then they removed the bonus health, the 350 bonus health on entering inflated state, and now you just gain 350 max health. And a one-time heal of 350. So now you're going to gain that bonus health, but you're also going to get healed for healing as well. So instead of just gaining health, you're gonna get healed and then gain health on top of that. So basically, you had 1 health and you puff up 1 health plus 350, compared to now 1 health, 350, 350, right? So you're gonna really like you earn that big state. You're gonna like basically you're gonna like full heal in a sense, and be able to kind of take advantage of that state. So that's just a really good buff for Mr. Fantastic. He's going to be more survivable, things like that. And one thing to also point out, technically, when you press your ult button, you're entering inflated state, so that it's also doing that. So I believe it was Necros who pointed it out. But basically, you can puff up, heal, go down, get low, and then just ult to heal again, right? So you're going to be extremely survivable. He was already really hard to kind of like dive on, things like that. But now this is going to really enable him to brawl a lot harder, be able to get into those nitty gritty fights, right? So overall W change for Mr. Fantastic. Next up is going to be Phoenix. They are adjusting the Cosmic Flame maximum fall off from 30 meters. At 30 meters from 60 to 75. So basically, she's going to do a little bit more damage. So instead of doing whatever the 60% was, she's going to do a little bit more damage from 30 meters off, giving her a little bit more poke. Simple, just a little bit more effective range. Spider-Man. So Peter Parker, they're reducing the time it takes to get more web clusters to 2 from 2.5. Adds up over time. That's pretty nice. They're increasing the amazing combo damage, which I believe that is the uppercut, from 60 to 70. So little love to Spider-Man. Spider-Man's a weird character to buff because Spider-Man already breaks a lot of like physics of the game with how fast he can move with slinging across the map. So Spider-Man's one of those characters where you have to like leave him in a state where he's just, I'd say, not balanced, but a little worse than balanced, because good Spider-Mans are going to really take advantage of that. But then if you don't put in the time, you're not really going to get the value, right? So I think Spider-Man's a character where, like, if you really put in the hours, you should feel rewarded. But I don't want Spider-Man to be a character where he can get too much value from just people who are kind of okay with him because of the fact that he already kind of breaks some game physics. So I think it's a good change. And hopefully they don't really add too much to him. I think Spider-Man's in like a decent spot. They could probably add one thing to him, but I haven't thought of it yet, so I won't speak on that. Squirrel Girl, very very simple change, more damage, and people aren't gonna like that. But hey, they gave her more damage for a reason. I think the game's becoming a little bit more sustaining in terms of just like not ultimate abilities, but just characters in general for their base kits. So that this is probably their way of trying to like give one of the characters who's good into that very sustaining grouped up comp just a little bit more firepower to kind of help combat that. Storm, they are increasing weather control. Basically, Thunder's damage boost to allies is going to go from 10% to 12%. And then Goddess boost, which is the boost for you, your boost is going to go from 12% to 15. So basically, Storm is going to do more damage, and her team's going to do more damage when they're under that effect. I think where it was at was probably fine. 15% is kind of pushing it. From previous games, I've learned that giving your teammates 10% or 10% is a chilling spot. Once you start going over 10% damage amp, you start to really break the game a little bit. So I'm not really too keen on who can like who it affects and what breakpoints it changes. But as long as it doesn't really dramatically like change too many breakpoints, I think it's fine. Because then it's really specific on who can really get the most advantage out of it. It'll help everybody, but just like who's really gonna feel it. Now Punisher, they're increasing his health from 275 to 300. He did lose his team anchor, so he loses some damage. But to make up for that, they just added it to his base kit. So now he's going to do more damage from 40 meters out. He's going to do more damage because they're decreasing the fall, like the amount of fall off you feel. And they're also increasing pellets fired from his shotgun from 14 to 16. So he's going to be even more deadly up close. Gonna do more damage. Do more damage. Wolverine. They're making Wolverine even better against Vanguards. Uh, for each bit of rage, they're increasing it from 0.045 to 0.057. So basically, the more angry you are, the more damage you're going to do, just by a small margin. And they're increasing Rampage percent damage as well. So that's just normal claws, and then your fast claws, they're just doing the same thing. And then they're reducing how often. They're going to reduce the cooldown so you can have your big leap more often. So basically, you're going to be able to be in a fight a little bit more often, and you're going to be doing more damage, right? So just a buff to Wolverine. Do I agree with that? Yes, because of the changes they made to Groot and stuff. So he definitely needs that because he's gonna feel useless without being able to kind of get complementary buffs uh, to the tanks, right? Now moving on to strategist, Adam Warlock. Basically, when you have been eliminated and you're able to float around in your little state, you're gonna move twice as fast from 6 meters per second to 12. So basically, just gonna allow you to reposition faster, things like that, so you can try to get a res off instead of slowly floating around. So decent change. And they're also reducing the energy cost from his ultimate ability, so that's just gonna allow him to get it faster. And they're also going to increase the range that you detect your teammates from 30 to 35 so that you can be that much farther away to revive them so you don't have to put yourself in too crazy of danger. Especially because Adam's like to back off a little bit so that they can be in a safe position. It's just going to allow them to do that a little bit more effectively. W change for Adam. Cloak and Dagger, basically just more health. I think they're doing that across the board for most supports, especially the ones that feel a little weaker in general. So I don't know how I feel about it because she has okay survivability, but hey, Invis Woman, these buffs are crazy. So basically, they buffed her primary fire. They buffed how far the damage of it, how far it can go, and how fast it goes. So basically, just her primary fire is a lot better. They increased force physics length. That's the push and pull. So you can push farther and pull. You have more range on your push and pull from 30 to 35. And now your shield can also be placed on yourself. So instead of having to like put it down on a teammate, you can put it down on them or put it down on yourself. There's been times where I want to hold the corner, so I'll ask a teammate to kind of graze the wall so I can put a shield down, so that I can kind of use that to kind of sustain myself without having to use my double jump, right? So I think that's a good change for her. The other ones are a little like why? Like why would you do that? I don't think you need to buff her primary fire like at all. Her push and pull, okay. That's you push and pull from farther away. And the Guardian Shield was a cool change. Um, but I don't think she needed these changes. The last two were okay, but the primary fire just doesn't make sense. Loki, giving him more health, and they are changing the missile damage fall off from at 3 meters from 50 to 80. I think Loki's a great character, and he doesn't really need some crazy changes. I'm just a little confused on what this means. Are they just tanking his damage in general? Like where like if you're not right in front of him, it's just gonna not do it. But what actually this would be an increase. Rocket Raccoon, they are reducing his res beacons timer from 45 to 40. Not a super big change, but 5 seconds does matter. Just more res is more often. Uh, I think that's an okay change. They're increasing his repair mode maximum from 5 to 7. So basically, you're getting more heal orbs. And they're increasing how fast they fly, which is cool. And they're also increasing the projectile speed of your primary fire, which is also cool. I don't want it to be so quick that it's basically hit scan, but I definitely felt like a lot of rockets probably felt really disincentivized to shoot their gun, which you can see by the stats. Um, so this, because of how hard it was to use that weapon, So I feel like this change might be just good overall because it'll kind of incentivize to shoot more, right? And in team ups, I really don't want to go over team ups, but we will anyways. Blade of Khonshu, Moon Knight and Blade. As the team anchor, Moon Knight gains 5% damage, and Blade gains Eclipse Edge. Which what does that do? It doesn't explain it. It just tells you what it does. Okay. I think that has to do with his sword, where after he like does certain attacks, it'll like send out little whatever his Moon Knight's little weapons are called. So basically, just kind of increase. It gives him like kind of like an AoE effect. Explosive Entanglement with Gambit and Magneto. Gambit gains 5% extra healing as the anchor. Magneto receives Royal Blade. Now, what this is, if you don't know what it is already, which is a good team up, so this also another reason why Magneto feels a lot better. Compare it to Wanda's old team up with Magneto, where he did the slashes with the sword, and it was really good. Now with this one, you actually throwing an actual sword, and it has like an AOE when it hits, but it's not as wide as the old one, so it takes a little bit more skill to hit it unless you're aiming at the ground. But it still feels pretty good, right? So it feels like a more skilled version of the old one. So definitely W team up for Magneto. Sword of Duality, Cloak and Dagger Hawkeye. Basically, what that does is it changes his slash. I don't think it knockbacks anymore. It says it still does, but basically what it does is when you slash, it'll make the enemies they gain a vulnerable, but it also heals your teammates. So if anybody is near you and you're not gonna and a diver back, let's say like you're next to your support, diver dives your support, you slash the diver and your support. Your support gets a little bit of health, and the diver gets marked. So with vulnerability, so now he's a lot easier to kind of burn down. Okay, and then adjusted or removed. I mean, I don't really think we need to go over this, but we will anyway, just in case. Hawkeye loses his ice arrow, which thank the Lord. I hated that ability because it pierced walls and stuff. So imagine you're Doctor Strange go over a TB, and he goes, "Nope, I'm gonna just throw this through the wall." Not cool. Lunaforce, Cloak and Dagger, Moon Knight, basically the little invis thing you would be able to pop as the Moon Knight or Blade is gone. Mental Projection, Emma Frost and Psylocke, being able to kind of duplicate yourselves to do that extra damage and get extra abilities is gone, which I think is good because that was really annoying to deal with. And then Operation Microchip, the Punisher Black Widow. What was that? That was I think they gave. What did they give? I forgot what it gave them. I think. Oh yeah, Punisher got an anchor, and then I think Black Widow. What did she get? I can't even remember what she got. But yeah, I don't think it was bad anyway. So goodbye. We don't care. Primal Flame, Phoenix, and Wolverine. This is why they buffed the Wolverine as well because wait, why is Black Widow there? Okay, so um, so instead of Wolverine getting the buffs from Phoenix, it's gonna go to Black Widow now, and but instead of extra damage, she's gonna be able to heal her teammates. I think this is a terrible team up. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe I'm just wrong, and it's like, oh well, there's gonna be some uses for it. Like yeah, if she has nothing to shoot, if she has no enemies to shoot at, or enemies won't peek her, she'll be able to shoot her teammates and give them health. I just hope that she can deactivate it on will. So if she does pop it to heal her teammates, she could disable it. Or if it's a thing where it's like a toggle on and off, so you can like switch between healing, not healing. I have to test it. I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's just a thing where you pop it, you got a timer, right, and then no more heals. So it it has use, but I don't think it's very good. So as the season goes on, we'll see it more and more, and we'll see how we feel about it. But I don't think it's really great. So, but with that being said, this is going to be the conclusion of the patch notes. Hopefully, you guys learned something. Hopefully, I maybe clarified some things for y'all if y'all didn't understand. If there's anything that I don't understand and y'all know a little bit better than me, do not be afraid to comment down below in the comments. Let me know what it is, what you think about anything. And yeah, hopefully you enjoy season 5. I know I will. Maybe not the group having to deal with that, but I play group too, so hey. But yeah, no matter if it's morning, afternoon, or night, I hope you have a blessed rest of your day, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. And make sure you subscribe so you can catch that tier list I'm going to drop probably in a day or two. Not sure, but you don't want to miss that, right? So make sure you subscribe and like the video if I benefited you in any way. Peace out, guys. Take care.